Let's bring in the member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and the House Small Business Committee, Pennsylvania Congressman Dan Meuser. Congressman, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's trip to Asia may include a stop to Taiwan, with Beijing warning of serious consequences, maybe even military force, if she proceeds with her visit there. Does her trip risk sparking an international incident? Is this the right time for her to go?
Well, it sounds like it already has to an extent. And frankly, it shows a high level of diplomatic incompetence. The conversation should have been had prior with the other ambassadors to China, frankly. And she's the Speaker of the House and bringing a delegation. And so the response from China is not necessarily unexpected, but let's face it, it's very threatening. It was very strong. It's another example of the United States just simply not dealing from a position of strength, not having a strategy and a plan that provides respect yet strength. And you know what? When you provide respect and strength, you get the respect back.
Should the Speaker of the House be playing this role in American foreign policy?
Well, look, the Speaker of the House is certainly going to go on trips to foreign countries. We do it all the time. It's very important. Now, when there's such a delicate situation that exists, and the current initiatives we have with Taiwan are very important, strategic ambiguity, for instance, and how things exist, they should have a higher level of sensitivity to it. I mean, it's professional courtesy, it's diplomacy. And we probably wouldn't be having this situation if more thought was put into it, frankly. It's more incompetence coming out of the administration, no coordination with the Speaker of the House as well.
Congressman, moving over to the issue of inflation, this week we've seen consumer confidence decline for the third straight month, down to 95.7. We saw the Fed raise interest rates by 0.75 of a point, and the U.S. GDP dropped for the second quarter in a row. But the administration still has declined to say that we're in a recession. Are we in a recession?
Well, we are. 2 quarters in a row, negative GDP growth. So there's no question about that. But what's worse is not just the denial, and because we've seen that before, saying something isn't when it is, or vice versa. But what's worse is that the administration's policies put us here. And when you're in a ditch, right, the first thing you do is stop digging. Well, they're doing a heck of a lot of digging. Yesterday, they engaged in huge additional spending. Many of us were for the CHIPS bill, but they destroyed it with all kinds of massive add-ons. And now we're talking about, I mean, think about this, Kilmeade. What causes inflation is excessive demand and not enough supply. Here, now they're talking about more taxes, which will lower supply, and more spending, which increases demand. I mean, these are fundamentals. It's like trying to disprove gravity. They're going to make matters worse. And the Republicans in the House, with Leader McCarthy and all of our other work that we're doing, we want to stop them and then win the House back and create stability throughout our economy.
Congressman, I want to pick up on your point. You're mentioning now the legislation, the potential deal that we have between Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer as well as Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. In a phone call to reporters yesterday, Senator Manchin said he didn't believe anything in that would be inflationary. He didn't think it would be inflammatory. And that was one of the biggest parts of this. Was he said that the bill, especially off the back of those CPI numbers, needed to be scrubbed. Do you agree with that statement? And also the fact that he said he thinks under rational times, this would have been something that would have had bipartisan support.
They went through the rescue plan. They did a T&I bill that was excessive. There were good parts of it, but it was excessive. They expanded out the CHIPS bill yesterday. Now they want to add another close to $800 billion to $1 trillion. Of course, this is inflationary. It's what's caused it as well. All this green energy initiative is also an affront to our domestic fuel energy industry. So there's going to be no help there, which is where the help is needed, right, Gilman? We have basically an assault on our domestic energy, which has caused $4.80, $4.50 now, $2 more than it was a year and a half ago, gasoline prices, which is crushing people, crushing families, crushing businesses, crushing distribution, and crushing farmers, adding to food costs.
Do you agree that with the assessment that Republicans were blindsided on this deal, given the fact that it was announced after there was bipartisan support for chips?
Well, apparently so. Again, the level of understanding should have been higher. But Joe Manchin has been consistent up until this point. Now, right in the middle of negotiations on the chip initiative, they announce, oh, by the way, we are going to spend $1 trillion and increase taxes, and we're going to try to vote on it next week in the Senate. So, yeah, I think there's been a lot of capital of trust lost. And, you know, look, we got to regroup. We can't just keep worrying about what our adversary in the world or our opponents in Congress are doing. We need to have a plan. We need to communicate it to the American people. We sure have to win in November because what they're doing is failing all aspects of the economy. And they unfortunately keep doing it.
Congressman, it's Friday, so we're going to end this on a lighthearted note. Huge victory for Republicans in the congressional baseball game. I was watching, pretty impressive pitches by Congressman Stubbe. Did you watch the game, and how do you feel with this GOP victory?
Well, it was great. Yes, I was there. We were all there. There had to be over 30,000 people, I think, at least, raised almost $2 million for local charities. The Republicans won 10-0. And you know what? I think we can expect more of the same come November.
All right. Congressman Dan Meuser, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. I want to tell you about the Patriot Gold Group. But first, let me tell you that the S&P has already lost $8.2 trillion in 2022. Did you know that? Peak inflation is not even hit despite the Fed rate hikes on groceries, on gas. You know it as well as I do. Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs are warning of another 20% drop. Inflation is winning in a knockout right now. The Fed is going to raise rates again at the end of July. Meanwhile, Goldman, Wells Fargo, and Bloomberg are all forecasting gold to surpass all-time highs. If you want to invest in gold, call 888-936-2373 now. Call the Patriot Gold Group today and ask about their no-fee-for-life IRA. Sounds like a good deal, don't it? Here's the number, 888-936-2373. 888-936-2373 for the Patriot Gold Group.